sleep cycles and naps. These are two things that definitely go hand in hand. I know you've heard something about sleep cycles and it's somehow linked to baby sleep and naps, but what we are exploring in today's video is your sleep question: when do babies start to link sleep cycles? My 10-week-old is a catnapper and won't sleep more than one sleep cycle. And we are going to look at the roundabout age that babies start being able to link sleep cycles and some things you can do to assist your little one to nap for longer. So stay tuned, especially if you have a catnapping baby. Tell me in the comments below, how is your little one napping? How old are they? Are they linking their cycles? Are they expert catnappers? Let us know in the comments and we will jump on and answer each and every one. But first, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Nikki and I am a pediatric sleep expert. I'm one of the founders of a company called Little Ones. At Little Ones, we specialize in infant and toddler sleep right from birth through to 3 years old. We know all about sleep. And we know the emotional toll that sleep deprivation can have on a family because we are first and foremost mothers. I myself have 3 beautiful children and each and every one of those children has taught me a lot about the complex world of infant sleep. We have created a set of comprehensive online sleep programs which are available through our mobile app, which guide you day by day, minute by minute, on your little one's sleeping needs. So you never have to worry about what's happening next, about the next sleep challenge, about how to resolve your current sleep issue. All the information is right there in your hand inside our app. We'd love to be a part of your family's sleep journey, so make sure you check us out, www.little-ones.co. All right, let's talk about sleep cycles. A sleep cycle is quite simply the period of time in which a human, big or small, goes through a complete sleep phase. So sleep cycles occur in all of us every time we sleep. They are slightly different, daytime sleep cycles versus nighttime sleep cycles, and a lot of that has to do with the different hormones and chemicals that change throughout our body at different times of the day. Today we're going to be looking at your little one's daytime sleep cycles. For a newborn baby, their sleep cycles are very immature, so they're not obviously differentiated. And this means that in the newborn stages, your baby is able to stay asleep for quite a long time, especially during the day, because they just drift between their sleep cycles without fully rousing or becoming fully awake between each cycle. They have quite unorganized sleep cycles, so they don't have a set sort of structure of light sleep, deep sleep, like slightly older babies and children and adults have. And this is probably why your newborn baby was able to sleep for several hours at a time during the day, and you were thinking, yes, awesome, I've got this amazing napping baby. And then suddenly somewhere after 8 weeks, between 8 and 12 weeks, and certainly by 16 weeks, those great naps have stopped and you're left with a baby who will only sleep for 35 to 45 minutes at a time. That is a sign that their sleep is maturing, their sleep cycles have become more organized and more mature and are now more like older babies, children and adults' sleep cycles. So what is happening during that one sleep cycle? First of all, when your baby enters sleep, they enter into a light sleep. This is why when you if you're holding your baby while they fall asleep and you pop them down 5 minutes later, they very likely wake up, especially if they still have a startle reflex and they're unswaddled, because they're in a light sleep, the feeling of falling is going to startle them awake. And then you have to start the process all over again. So they enter into a light sleep phase. From here, they then drift into a deep sleep stage. And if we're looking at daytime sleep, that might last for about 20-25 minutes in the sleep cycle. So they're in a nice deep sleep stage. This is where their breathing slows. You will be able to tell your baby is in a deep sleep because they don't move. Their breathing is nice and slow and consistent. It's not short, frantic breathing. They don't have grunting or snuffling. They're in a nice, calm, deep sleep. If you were holding or rocking your baby to sleep and you want to put them in their bed, it's a good idea to wait till they've been asleep 15 to 20 minutes before you pop them down. So you make sure they're in that nice deep sleep, pop them into their bed, and they're most likely to stay asleep. Once they've come out of that deep sleep stage, they enter another period of light sleep, and this is where if there's something like overtiredness, or if they were undertired and not quite ready to go to sleep at that nap, if they are really hungry, if they have wind, if they are uncomfortable in some other way, this is where they're going to wake up again. So this could be sort of a 25-30 minute nap would be indicative of one of those factors affecting them when they come into this light period of sleep. If your baby is not affected by any of those factors, they're going to have a little chunk of light sleep, then they begin to fully wake up at the end of that light sleep stage. So their senses switch on again, they are alert to any sound, any smell, and any light, and this is where we have the cat nap. If your baby was a bit overtired going to sleep, if your baby was a bit undertired going to sleep, if your baby is due for a feed, if your baby is a reflux baby, if your baby is in a very bright, stimulating sleep environment, then they are going to fully wake at the end of that full sleep cycle and they won't go back to sleep. If your baby cannot self-settle, and this is more so for babies 4 months and over, that means that if they need you to actively settle them to sleep at the start of their naps, that is also going to lead to a catnapping baby, because they come through that sleep cycle, they fully wake, and they look around and go, wait, where are you rocking me back to sleep? They can't go back to sleep on their own. For a baby who is able to put themselves to sleep independently, much as children and we adults do, then they can fall asleep at the start of the nap, rouse through that light sleep at the end of the cycle, realize that their body is still tired, they are not hungry, they're nice and warm, they're in a dark room, they've got the white noise playing, they're perfectly lined up for sleep success. Those babies are going to be able to simply gently rouse, close their eyes again, or maybe just sort of shift their head or shuffle around a bit and go straight back to sleep and nap for longer. So this is the goal, right? So that in a nutshell, like a big nutshell, explains the daytime sleep cycle for a baby. Like I said, this only starts to become quite obvious after the 8-week mark, more commonly between 12 and 16 weeks, as your baby starts to enter what is famously called the 4-month sleep regression. So if we're talking about your sleep question regarding your 10-week-old, it is highly likely that your baby's falling inside that bracket, right? They're falling between the 8 to 16 week bracket, where and every baby will differ slightly in terms of when their sleep cycles are going to mature. So your baby sounds to me like they have come through this maturation period. They now have quite defined sleep cycles. And what I would advise you to be doing is looking at their nap structure during the day, and that means getting their awake windows the right length for their age. So moving away from those newborn awake windows, looking at the length of their naps. For instance, if they're sleeping for a really long time in their morning nap, maybe that's the reason they're catnapping throughout the rest of the day. Looking at where their feeds are in association with their naps, so you can make sure that they are having a decent full feed and they're not just sort of snacking and catnapping. Looking at their sleep environment, and I would really recommend they are napping in a very dark room. At this age, I would still expect them to be swaddled, and I would think about using some nice calming white noise as well, because that helps transition babies through those different sleep cycles. Then as your baby ages, I would start looking at some gentle, gradual ways that you can encourage them to fall asleep independently if they're not already. So have a look on our website. We have a lot of articles, videos on here, and then of course our sleep programs with all of our settling methods to guide your child towards more independent sleep. And that is sort of the final massive important factor in their ability to sleep longer than the one sleep cycle. So I hope that's helped answer your question about when their sleep cycles mature and how you could assist your baby to link their sleep cycles a bit better. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.